towards inner peace where your real home resides. In a world that never stops, finding peace can feel impossible. Welcome to Inner Peace Radio, your sanctuary for self-discovery and mental clarity. I am your host, Lupe Garcia, and my co-host,
Brenda Cruz. We are sharing teachings based on Course of Miracles in English and Spanish.
Thank you for listening. You can join us now. We want to go ahead and welcome our caller. We have a guest today, and her name is Carol. Carol, are you here? Are you with us?
Yes, I am, Lupe.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Welcome to Inner Peace Radio.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, what services and products you provide?
Sure. My name is Carol Krakower. I have been a speech pathologist for over 30 years. I am a mom and a grandma.
Aw.
And what I do is I have, for parents, I have videos on Facebook and YouTube, and I've written a book because what I have noticed over the years is that parents are very anxious when they have a child who's not speaking well. And most of the time, parents feel that it's their fault, that they're not doing something they should be doing. And that's not true. That's the child they got. And for parents, it's very important to accept that this is the child they got who needs their help. And to go on a journey to help the child achieve good speech, which is essential to being human. We all have to communicate with others.
Wonderful. And I think that that's a beautiful service that you provide. And how do you feel, can you share a little bit about what you provide that can help these parents achieve that goal?
Sure. Well, let me just describe that when parents first come into my office, and it's the mom and the dad, very often there's a disagreement. And they're bringing their child in, and one of them feels that the child needs help, and the other feels that the child does not, or maybe if they tried harder, or they stimulated the child more, the child would react. Very often there's a disagreement in the family if the grandma has said something. You know, if it's her mother, she wants the child to be seen. If it's his mother, she wants to disprove it. So there's always family dynamics when a child comes in.
So would you say that it's the parents or the grandparents' perception of this child?
Well, oftentimes one parent will say, gee, you know, I'm taking the child to the playground and the child's not speaking as well as other children of the same age, or I'm concerned that I can't understand what the child is saying. And the other parents say, no, the child's fine, absolutely fine. You know, it's my kid, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so the parents get delayed and the child becomes frustrated because they don't want to say to themselves, it's not my fault, it's the child I got, and my child needs help, and my job as a parent is to help my child. It's not a reflection on the upbringing.
It's not a reflection on the parenting skills.
Right. Parents are under the misconception, and I'm amazed after doing this for 30 years, that parents are under the misconception that a child who's stimulated enough will speak well. Not true. You know, if the child were locked in a closet all the time, well, maybe, but that's not the case. You know, the parents most of the time are loving parents, and they are not aware that there are many different reasons why a child may not speak well. And so I said, I want to put together reasons. I have a book, 10 Reasons Why Your Child is Not Speaking as Expected. Because most of the time, too, parents will say, geez, he's not speaking well. He's probably not smart. And I don't want to say that. Well, the real smart kids have a lot of speech issues. I've seen it for 30 years, and parents don't know that. So it's very important for parents to know that I listed 10 different reasons why a child would not speak well. There are muscle-based reasons. There are perceptual reasons. There are neurological reasons. There are structural reasons in their mouth. So that's why parents are reluctant. And I want them to know that very often things can be done that will help their child tremendously. So I have some videos on YouTube, some videos on Facebook where parents get information.
Wonderful.
There is a book on Amazon, Speak to Me, 10 Reasons Why Your Child is Not Speaking as Expected. It will help who will help? It will help the first parent who's saying, I think there's something. I have to speak to my spouse. Because that's essentially what it's for. It's to say to the spouse, look, I think she's really a smart little girl, but here's why I think she's having a problem.
But I would say that the education or the practice or saying that the child is either intelligent or not smart really doesn't make a difference to the actual outcome of the child speaking, correct?
There are many different reasons why she may not be speaking correctly, and a tremendous number of them can be alleviated and addressed right away. So, there are some situations in which the child may have a significant handicap, but there are many other situations in which the child needs a boost now.
Got it. And what resources do you provide, Carol, that besides the 10 tips that you have, or the 10 different strategies, I would say?
I have a course for parents on my website, speaktomeplease.com. And what's different about the course is that it has a workbook for parents where 10 different reasons are explained, and it teaches parents how to observe their child and how to write down what their child is doing, and then look and see, well, why is my child having difficulty speaking? Is it that the child is not hearing well? Is the child not perceiving words? Does the child have a difficulty in the mouth? So that parents get an idea. Because another thing I have seen over the years is that parents often think that, gee, the kid down the street used bubbles and straws, and that worked, so I'm going to do bubbles and straws. Well, that child may have a completely different issue than your child. So one size does not fit all. So for parents, it's very important to know why.
And how long is your course, Carol?
It's an online course.
So they can take it at any time?
They could take it at any time. If they go to speaktomeplease.com and look at the course, they can download the course, work at home. I would say for parents it takes about a week. Probably a week of observing your child and writing things down and noticing things that you may not notice. And at the end of that course, you should be able to say, okay, now I understand. My child can do this, but can't do this. It's probably this kind of a reason. And that's important for parents to know.
Would you say that a lot of times the parents are also very distracted or not in the here and the now, where they're not really focused because I'm going to say their workloads, because the everyday life? Do you think that plays a part as well in not noticing these things?
You know what? I think that's easy for all of us to get into that. There's always a to-do list. There are all kinds of pressures at work and and pressures to maintain everything else. And there may be other children in the family. And it's easy to say, oh, he'll outgrow it. It's temporary.
There you go. Yeah.
And we're all capable of doing that. We're all capable of saying, you know what? I'll think about this in the summer. I'll think about this after the holidays. I'll think about,
Right. Procrastinate, right?
Children get very frustrated because part of being human is communicating with other people and expressing yourself. It's a very essential part of being human. And when children can't do that adequately, they get very frustrated. And many children will throw tantrums. Very young children will throw tantrums.
Right. So prioritizing their children in this would be very efficient for their children to be able to know their importance in their family, right?
Yes, and also prioritizing helping the child. And I see that this is very difficult for parents, too. And, I had 5 children. I know. I was a parent. There are lots of things going on. But when your child has an issue that can be helped, you do want to address it, and you want to follow through. Following through is very important. And I think about how it makes the child feel that this is important to the parent, that my mom and my dad care about how I function as a person and are willing to help me out.
Yeah, that is very important. Very, very important. Because that only brings the baby or the child. What are the age groups that we're talking about, Carol? Can you give us an age group that you work with or that you've worked with before?
Well, I work with people of all ages, but generally at around age 2, parents start to get concerned. 1-year-olds vary greatly in how many words they say, and there's a lot of range of normal for 1-year-olds. But by about age 2, if a child's not saying 50 words or putting 2 words together in unique sentences like daddy's home or puppy's sick, parents start to say, gee, other kids are saying this. Why isn't my child?
So that's the age that they start noticing the differences.
Yeah, I would say by the second birthday. By the second birthday, for many issues, if the child is not speaking as well as others, parents say, well, what's going on here? Why not? But then there are other things in the preschool years, like some children are very difficult to understand, and they could be very intelligent children, but they could have an issue with motor planning or with perceiving sounds and words, and parents say, how come Grandma still can't understand Johnny?
Right.
Well,
that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Or parents will interpret for the child. The child says something, and the parent repeats it in English.
So do you think language barrier plays a part as well in society for these children, since there's so many languages being spoken sometimes through different cultural families?
You mean that the parent doesn't perceive the importance, or
that there might be more than one language in the family setting?
No, that has been proven not to be an issue, because language learning is inherent in children, and being bilingual or trilingual as a child is an asset and is something that is normal in many families. So being bilingual does not hold a child back. But what I'm saying is that if a child's having difficulties, the difficulty is within the child. It's not the family situation.
Wonderful. Well, I love what you're sharing, Carol. Is there simple techniques that you could provide our audience or that they could practice with their child?
Well, it depends on what the child's difficulty is. I have a video on YouTube. Look at YouTube, Carol Krakower, SLP, and it shows how to take a child from babbling to first words. So there are many techniques that speech pathologists will use to have a child perceive a sound and say something like, ah. So, for example, if your child can just say, ah, and you want your child to say up, make it into a game. You know, you take the child and say up, and you lift the child up when you say the p, so the child can see it and hear the p. You're trying to get the child to say up. Anything with games, we do games a lot. And if a child's practicing words or something, I always tell parents, we have to say 5 words that a little child may be practicing. Make it fun. Like have the child practice as you're tossing toys into the bathtub. You know, you're going to say the words that the child's working on and get the child to say, and then you toss the toy into the bathtub, you know, so eventually he has all his toys in the bathtub.
That's a cute idea. I love that idea. Because the children are always looking, if they can have some playful added repetition, I think it would stick to them, correct? It would stay. They'll remember.
Right. Anything paired with fun. We always do fun things in the office. You know, we play games. We do things with toys. It's targeted because we're looking for a certain word or a certain sound, but the child thinks we're just playing, but we're not.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful that you have this online course. Now, do you also provide in-person or just the online courses?
We just do the online. We are in New Jersey, and we do have an office in New Jersey, and we do see children every day for the last 30 years.
Beautiful.
You know? But that's not feasible, especially for people who live in rural areas or people who don't have access to as many services. That's why I think it's important.
So the online course is the best resource.
It's the best resource to get parents started. My plan is to put more courses online because there are many parents who, once they understand what the child needs, they're great. They're great at helping their child, but they have to understand what they're doing.
Wonderful. And I have a few more questions for you, Carol. How did you end up teaching this? Was this your passion? Has this been your passion for a while now, or how did you get started?
Teaching courses for parents?
Yes.
I previously taught courses to other speech pathologists, and I gave webinars to speech pathologists.
Wonderful.
And really enjoy. I just enjoy it. Now that my children are all grown and I have grandchildren, I have a little bit more time.
Oh, wonderful. That's beautiful.
I enjoy putting things together. I enjoy teaching. And so I thought, well, I've been observing these parents coming into my clinic all these years who are always confused about what's causing this. I said, well, let me just address this. Let me put a course together.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that you took the time to put this together for all the community to be able to purchase online. And I also have a question for you in regards to how does this fulfill you? Does this bring peace to you? Does it bring peace to the parents? What is the response you've been getting from the parents after they've done your course?
That's essentially why I did it, because the parents come in confused. And there's no reason in this day and age to be confused. It makes me feel like I'm fulfilling a purpose.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because this is where I love speech therapy. And it's a career, but it's also a vocation. And if I can make parents feel better about helping their child and not guilty, that's the thing that perplexes me. Guilty, don't feel guilty.
And that is exactly what this radio show is all about, eradicating guilt from everyone and making sure that we have peace.
And
I love that.
If the parents just say to themselves, look, this is the child God has given me. My job to grow as a parent is to help this child. Turn it around. It's not, I'm not performing as a parent. No. My job is to help the child I was given.
That's beautiful. And provide all the resources available to them.
Right. And it makes, for the parent, it's calming, because you know that you have been given this challenge by God. And you can rise up to it. And you just need the tools. You need the faith and you need the tools.
And I believe also that the child just lights up when they're able to be heard, be seen, and be able to pronounce what the language barriers have been limiting them or thinking they're limited in some way or form.
Right. And they can't express themselves. And then with the tools, they can, and they feel more fully human.
Yes, that's beautiful. Well, I love what you've been sharing, and I know the audience will check all of your social media platforms. Would you be able to tell the audience where they can find all your resources once again, please?
Sure. My website is speaktomeplease.com. You can look on Facebook, Speak to Me Please. You can look on YouTube, Carol Krakower, Krakower. You can look on Amazon, and under my name as an author, Carol Krakower, Krakower. And I certainly hope to be putting together more courses for parents so that parents will feel much more at ease.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the service that you provide families, parents, and these little children that are eager and ready to be heard and listened to, and so that they can express themselves the way they've always wanted to, but more than likely also for the parents to recognize that it has nothing to do with their parenting skills, but that these resources are available for their children, and they are available so that they can be able to be learned and practiced at their own pace. I'm assuming this can be done at any time, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just want parents to feel confident that if they love their child and they're aware of who their child is, they can help their child.